There's the Homestead. How the heck are you? This is just one of those howdy videos today. Yeah. Got a couple of things that I'd had happen that I found kind of interesting. I thought I'd share them with you. But anyway, so go grab your coffee. I'm gonna grab mine while you're gone, and we'll get this thing started. And see you back here in just a minute. Hey, we're back. So, hope you're having a good week. Yeah, good. Um, I'm doing some paperwork trying to get all caught up. Went out and looked at the fellas' farming stuff yesterday. Yeah. And went back out this morning to take a few measurements. I do a little consulting. I don't know if I ever even told you guys that. Since getting out of the factory, which I had to, because man, the chemicals was just eating my sinuses alive. So it was like time to put this career up to bed. Yeah. And yeah, it turned me into a mouth breather because man, it about burned my sinuses out. But anyway, I do a little consulting work for people, primarily guys that are getting into the cattle business. Honestly, um, you know, folks that are having questions about how to lay out paddocks and what do they need to plant in their pastures and blah 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 blah, right? And one of the things that I was trying to tell them is you need to figure out what resource you need to fix on the ground first. Okay, like this particular fellow, his first problem to fix is he's bought some row crop land. Okay, and it's not a bad little place. It's got a little double wide trailer on it, and a barn, and a little workshop, and so forth. So got about 125 acres, and pretty flat. Pretty flat. But the pastures are perimeter fenced, but there's no cross fencing or anything of that nature. So we're looking at, what kind of water he needs to put in. He needs to do some corral work and, just little stuff like that and kind of laying him out a plan of where to start. But he was in a big hurry to go out and buy a seed that he wants to get in the ground first thing this spring. And so I asked him the question. This is what a lot of you folks need to think about when you're thinking along these lines. I asked him what resource was he wanting to address first, and he got the deer in the headlight look. I mean resource. Well, is it are you trying to get certain nutrients back in the soil, or are you trying to get more water infiltration? What are you looking to do? And his response was just a straight up feed cows. Well, that's a good goal, especially if you're raising cattle. So we started looking at some of the soil and stuff, and had a pretty good compaction issue going on out there. Luckily, the land had been no-tilled, which helped some degree. It wasn't like a concrete block out there. So that's what I'm doing now is going through some books and seeing what we can do to set him up. Called the county extension today and asked them still if they had that ryegrass drill program that they had a couple years back. And matter of fact, more than a couple years, about 4 or 5 years ago. And they said, yeah, they're still doing that. And so it's like, cool. So got him set up for that. So this spring they're going to come out and bring out a drill and plant him some rye, some warm and cold season rye out there, and things of that nature. I couldn't quite talk the guy into, well, what if we gave you another seed mix to go in? No. So what we're probably going to do is go through and on this first round do a real light disc, real light, just enough to get a little dirt on the soil there. And working up seed mix, what I'm working on now, of what we're going to put in with that rye. I know he's going to need some daikon radishes to bust that soil up, because I can almost guarantee you that when you start shoveling in it, you go down about 3 inches and it's like boom. He's like you hit a brick. Pretty heavy compaction. So there we go. Let's start there. Start getting that soil busted up for him. And and we just been going over operations. It's been fun, so, and you make a couple bucks on the side, so what the heck, but I thought about y'all. When you're laying out pastures or when you're getting into regenerative agriculture, one of the things you want to think about is what resources are you wanting to bring on your land? Do you have a soil compaction problem? Are you looking for water infiltration and to get a good deep root structure going? What are you looking to do? Okay. That takes some thinking, folks. Of exactly what are you looking to accomplish. I know everybody wants to get their soil to be, 15 foot deep and beautiful. Okay, well, what do we got? What are you starting with? Where are we going to end up? These kind of questions need to be asked, and, you're not going to do it all at once. It's that simple. If you got old farmland, it's got a lot of soil compaction, a lot of water runoff, things of that nature, then, now the daikons, like I told him, I said I wouldn't go into those until, I said, you can go early. I said, it'll give you some idea of how bad your soil compaction is. Because those daikon radishes, let me tell you, if they can't go down, they'll come out. Okay, you'll have this, foot-long tube laying up there of a radish. And they're not bad tasting, by the way, so it's not like it's a total waste, You can go out there and gather up some radishes, and those things are not bad. Matter of fact, some restaurants even love having them, so you might have a little side market there. The only thing is, in pasture land, odds are the deer and the cattle are going to get to them first. Okay. Neat little stuff, though. I mean, they got a heck of a long taproot, and these things will bore through almost concrete. And they'll bore holes in your ground. Now, sometimes one season will do it, depending on how tough your soil compaction is. After that, I throw some out just about with every mix. Okay, one, I like them. It's number one. Number two, the cattle love them. Deer love them. The tops. Okay, they eat the greens on them. They're not too crazy about the radish itself. But you get your first freeze and kills them out. And all that, they run a deep taproot and they really bring a lot of nitrogen up to the soil surface. And as they die out, they just become a pile of mush. Okay? See, if a lot of it's up on the surface, it'll look like a light-colored cow patty laying out there. And these things are great. Brings all that nitrogen up to the surface and, right there, readily available. And anything you go back in with for reseeding your pasture, now it's got some holes to fill. Okay? Root structure can go down a lot deeper. So we're looking at that. Told him, how we could start mixing up some compost. He had a lot of woods. He had about 15, 16 acres of old growth woods. And so he was talking about buying compost. I said, well, save you money. I said, or else, if I can show you where to go get your compost here on the farm, would you be interested in that? And so showed him how to set up a hotbed and then also a cold bed. Most folks are quick on the hotbeds, where you throw a lot of nitrogen into your mix and you get it nice and hot and a lot of bacteria. They're good. You want that bacteria. It's a good thing. But also a cold compost works out real well too. There you're working with more like dried out leaves, sticks, Danny down at Deep South, he piled up a bunch of dead trees from down trees from Katrina and virtually set himself up a cold compost pile as those trees begin to break down. A lot of fungus in there, a lot of fungi. Yeah. So don't need to trottle out to the store and buy a bunch of mycorrhizal fungi and so forth for your plants. That cold compost will have it in it. Okay. So we're going to mix that into a spreader and hit him, you know. We're going to do a disc. We're going to put down a combination on the compost, a hot and a cold. Once the hot cools off, this will be in spring. And get him a good layer, get him a good spread of compost down on the thing, and then go in with a mix. Hopefully the chemical soil samples come back to where we don't have a lot of herbicide problems. The fellow that he bought it off of said it hadn't been cropped in like 2.5 years. There was a lot of, now he's got a bumper crop of super weeds growing out there, folks. Let me tell you, he's got a bumper crop. So Mother Nature, you can't beat her. It's like, you know, here we go. She'll throw the weeds in just as quick as a farmer gets off them fields plowing it. Okay, and yeah, it's loaded up with weeds and stuff. And he was asking what herbicide to use. I said, none. We're gonna bush hog the thing, and we're gonna do a light disking. We're gonna put down some compost, and we're gonna bring in some plants, and we're just gonna crowd out the weeds. That's what you do. You know, you're gonna have them for a bit, but eventually you'll get the upper hand on them. So it's a lot of fun, you know, and get him trotting off to get some polywire and things of that nature. So mainly that's what I'm doing, is picking out some different plants. Told him we could have some fun. We could always put you some sun hemp right up here by the highway. I said I hear guys that planted that always get a lot of interest from the local police departments and also the local potheads. So, maybe put yourself up a sign saying pluck a couple of these super weeds while you're out here. But yeah, yeah. But it's a good deep rooting plant. Okay, so and cows like it. So we're gonna put him in a good mix, and I even told him, I said a few of them I'd like to try. I've never seen them done here in Tennessee, so he's willing to experiment a little bit. So we're gonna play with that a little. Yeah, and then we're gonna go out there with the compost and so forth. We're gonna do spread down some seed. We got some decent contact with dirt, and then set up with the extension. We'll plan it out with them, get them to come in and drill in some warm and cold season rice. There we go, Insta Pasture. And then we're gonna, you know, get the, well, I'm not going to. That's where it's all on him. Gonna be building some corrals and things of this nature. So yeah, it's fun. I had a good time. The only problem is this weather's just beating me half to death. I'm getting too old for this cold, rainy, nasty. I know you northern folks are just like, y'all don't know what cold is. Yeah, I do, and that's the reason I don't live up there. Okay, but yeah, it was a lot of fun today. Now just getting in the mix, but as I was starting to say before I wandered off on all this, when you're looking at your place, even on your cover crops, what do you want to do with your soil? Where are you at with it? Okay, what do you need to bring into that soil? What's your, you know, you have all the fertilizer you need in the ground. Okay, you just got to figure out what you need and put in plants that's going to bring that up and take that up. Do you need deep root systems? Have you got compaction? You know, water infiltration. Start thinking about, when you're looking at this kind of stuff, what do I need? Take a look at your soil. You know, what do I need? Okay. If you're like him and you got a bunch of wooded areas, you got compost, folks. Knock them leaves off and start picking up that first couple inches of dirt that's in those wooded areas. And you're going to find that it's just full of fungi and bacteria and all the little good things that compost give you. And a lot of times, so you don't have to take a lot out, you can go ahead and set up a dry compost, a cold compost, and mix some of that in with it, and it'll get it all going again. Okay. I've been hoping for the last 2 weeks to get out and get mine started because I want to get a compost pile going, hot and a cold one. And I just haven't had the weather for it. You know, I'm old, I'm slow, and I'm not going to get out there and run between the raindrops. But I will get it. Take you long for that. And the same thing, I'm going to take some of the dirt that is already composted down, take it out of the woods out there behind the place, and mix it in with the compost. So, yeah, it ought to be fun. I might steal some of his, too. Yeah. Take my pickup truck down there. Throw a couple buckets in here, we. So, yeah, it's been interesting, been a lot of fun. That's kind of what I've been doing with my time. But something you want to, one of the things on this is if you decide, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to put cover crops down. I want to put in pasture, yada, yada, yada. Start thinking along those lines. Now, most everything we're going to be putting into his pastures right now, other than the rye, we're going to try to go with like biannuals or annuals. Want to see what mix works, where he's at come next spring, and then we'll make adjustments at that point. Figure the rye grasses, and we'll have a few perennials in there. Should give him plenty of feed out there for his cattle. But then once we get his soil working good, okay, once we got his soil right, then we get to play the fun part. And, he says, I told him, I said, I'll do this just for fun. I'll stop buying. We'll start looking at what do we put in here now to make your cows fat. Okay, I'm kind of curious of just how much we can tack on a cow as far as weight. Good. So, and he's gonna get some chickens. I told him don't mess with chicks. Get some laying hens. So he's got a chicken coop to finish up. It's there. It's a mess, and he's gonna clean that up and get ready to where he can start raising some chickens and put them into, well, not raising chickens, but putting some chickens in a small chicken tractor, and where he's got it ready to go out behind the cattle. So kid's got a good head on his shoulders. He's really wanting to do it right, and that's a big plus. So I'm having a great time with him. Yeah, nice family. So, and hopefully we can put him together a situation where he'll do real good. So that's what I've been doing this week. Yeah. And that's the reason I'm a little late on my regenerative agriculture one, because I have been up to my eyeballs in chasing this around. But I'm going to try to get one up this week. I know, it's Tuesday already. Yeah. I got the premise of what it is, but I was going to do compost, but I really wanted to put together a video on compost. And seriously, today's one of the few days we've had a sunshine. It has rained and rained and rained, and it just drives me nuts because the skies are clear and you can see every star in the sky at night. By morning, it's raining again. Whew. Yeah. Keeps raining like this, I'm going to have to start irrigating my lawn. Anyway, this is the homestead. I hope you're having a good week. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Let's see how this thing progresses. It ought to be interesting. Okay, you folks have a good one, and next spring, hopefully, I'll take you out to the pastures and let you see what we're doing out there, and it ought to be a lot of fun. Poor kid doesn't even have a stock pond though, but he's got a good well. That's a plus, and I think we're just going to run some of the USDA approved cattle waters, and told him, I said, you may be able to go cry on their shoulder and get them to, reimburse you some money on it if we do it the way USDA says to do it. Those usually some tip of money or something like that available. So yeah, save him a few bucks. So we haven't even started on that part of it. This kid knows very little. Uh, but him and his wife are wanting to get to homesteading, and God love them. And you know, he was telling me today that he was out till like 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get the chicken coop built. So, determination. I like that, the guy. Alrighty, anyway, that's what I've been up to and been having a ball. The old man getting to run around in pastures again, so that's a good thing. And hope this finds you having a blessed and wonderful week. And we'll talk to you real soon. Take care.